Good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to you from our Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints here in Central California, United States, in case you don't know where California is. Most people do. First of all, good morning. Coming to you this week, a little bit scatterbrained, but otherwise intact. Yeah, glad you get. There was a lot of entertainment, I think, on the last video, the auto negotiation issue. And I knew some of you would spot it right away. So good on you for that. I'm getting old, so it takes me a while. I think the last time we had that issue was about 3 years ago, and I forgot until Extreme brought it up. So, and I got to apologize. I don't know what it is about this room, but the color keeps changing every now and again. So if you're seeing that, just ignore it or just think of it as a feature. So anyway, yeah, there's Extreme. Yeah, they sold us some budget switches to begin with, and yeah, there are 4 SFP ports, only 2 of which are licensed for 10 gig, and 2 of which you have to license after the fact if you want 10 gig. Otherwise, they're just 1 gig. So there's that, and I had just completely forgotten about that. Let's see what else. I'm looking at some switches down here. We'll get to those in a second. There's our brother Sam Jones still says he needs prayer, so if you're the praying type, I'm sure he would appreciate prayers for his health and for the doctors to get to the bottom of whatever's going on with brother Sam out there. And let's see what else went on this week. Nothing of note, so I'll just get in with what's going on with these switches here, which you can't see yet. So we have some remote clinics at the hospital that are across town, and all of these clinics have been rolled up into a new county department. So here at the hospital, we're considered a county department, just like the sheriffs are considered a county department. There's the sheriff's department. That's why they call it sheriff's department. It's the department of the county. So now these clinics have now become a department of the county. So they are being sliced off of the hospital and also being sliced off of the hospital's network. So we've been working the past few months to try to get that done. And the network admin out at they hired a new network admin out at the clinics. And he's gone with Cisco, which, you know, not a bad idea because there's a lot more Cisco people out there than Extreme Networks people. So he's gone Cisco. He installed new switches over there. They did that this past weekend, and then I was going to go out there Monday and uninstall my switches and bring them back. But he already went ahead and uninstalled them for me and everything. They're all stacked up on the floor, so a lot less work for me. And he did a great job tidying up the closet. It was a mess before. It looks great now. So Argenis, if you're watching this, good job. But one thing I do want to show you, this is where we get into the pro tip territory. This is a pro tip. So we got, here, we'll look at the front of these. You got these mounting ears to hold the switch in. These are made out of steel, but it's fairly cheap steel. It's easily bendable. But normally they'll, you know, if you have all 4 screws in there, they'll hold the switch up just fine. And these switches here are notoriously tail heavy. They're heavy towards the back because we have we got 2 power supplies back there, and you know they're fairly beefy. There's one there, and there's one over here. So it's a little heavy in the back. Plus, there's some other, you know, related. Sorry about that. Some other related. There we go. There's ports here to put in. There's a fan module. These are stacking ports, and then you got the 2 power supplies. So kind of heavy towards the back. So that's why the mounting ears tend to be longer to support more of the weight in the back. And ideally, you'd want to put in the rear supports as well, but these were 2 post racks. They didn't have that. So anyway, when you put these in, you really need to support them when you're mounting them, and also when you're taking them out. And what happens 9 times out of 10, you see how they're bent up here at the tops, right there. Here's what happened. I wasn't even there, and I already know what happened. Is he took the bottom screws out first, and then of course you take this one out, you take the other one out, and as soon as those two bottom screws are gone, the back of the switch just drops. So pro tip, when you're unmounting switches, any switch, whether it's heavy or light, always take out the top screws first, because that will basically, the bottom will try to drop. That'll try to pull the back towards the rail, or the top, sorry, it'll try to pull the top towards the rail, because this screw is still down here. It's become the fulcrum around which the switch is trying to rotate. It'll pull the top towards the rail, and the screw will hold the bottom in from moving away from the rail. That way, you take these two top switches out, the switch really isn't going to move much. Then you can get some support under the switch and remove the bottom two screws and pull the switch out. So, pro tip, when you're putting them in or taking them out, always put the bottom screws in first and take them out last. So there you go. There's your pro tip of the day. And you can try it on your own switches if you want to see what happens. So hang on, I'm going to try to get my camera settled here. I don't really have a good viewing angle for the laptop here, but if you can't see what I'm doing, I'll tell you what I'm doing. So first thing I'm going to do is get logged in here. And okay, nothing from the serial device. Oh really? Well, let's just restart. So we're going to fire up the switch. I'm plugged into the console port. And so when I get these switches back from out in the field, very first thing I do generally is just factory reset them. And that way I can use them for whatever I want to going forward. So right now it's asking me if I want to enter the boot ROM. I do not. Boot ROM will let you factory default it too, but I'll just go in there and do it longhand, the long way around. So just going through, booting up, booting up, booting up. Takes a minute or two, or 5. So when you first start up an Extreme switch, you always get this pending AAA login. I think that's a function of the switch. I'm sorry, go ahead, tell me how stupid I am again, but I'm not sure what that actually is. I just know you can't log in until it says that you're able to now log in. So we are waiting for all the login processes to start up. And it'll just keep saying that until, say, pending AAA. It'll keep saying that until it's ready. So, yeah, and while I'm on the subject of comments, thanks for all the great comments. And then you guys that leave the really snarky, kind of insulting comments, just kind of being I know this isn't a very Christian thing to say, but you just kind of being a dick. Just know that those comments get deleted, because I don't need your negative energy, and neither does the rest of the viewers. So, if you don't like what you saw, just move along. If you do like what you saw, click the subscribe button, maybe even the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up if you want, and you can thumbs down it. It's okay. I don't care. But the negative comments, come on guys, not cool. Not cool at all. No. You're not going to score points with anybody. So, anyway. And to all the rabid atheists out there, I will pray for you. We're still pending AAA. I'm going to put this on pause until something actually happens, because these switches used to all be part of a stack. Yeah, this is number 2. and they are all unstacked. So they're going to take a little while to start up. So let me put you on pause for just a minute, and we'll unpause when something is happening. And just like that, something has happened. All right, so now it's ready for me to log in. I'm going to log in. Now, since I'm not on the network, there's no Radius server, so I'm going to have to wait for Radius to time out with this login. So, one more pause, and as soon as the Radius server times out and it lets me in with a local admin password, I'll unpause you. All right, we're back. Like I said, it takes a little while, number one, because there's no Radius server. Number two, because this was a second switch in a stack of 4, as a matter of fact, and it's got to iron things out. Now, how do I know this is switch number 2? Well, get these cables out of the way. It tells me. Can you see it? Dang it. Maybe I get over on this side. How about that? Okay, there. You see that? Switch number 2. And then it also tells me slot 2. So that's how we know. Now what I'm going to do is clear config all. Is that it? I should spell it right. How about that? Or is that the old command? I gotta get the command. Is it unconfigure? Switch all. And you know what I'm going to do, not just all, I'm going to say erase. So you see here, we can do clear config was on the old C series. Show you how old I am. So we're going to do unconfigure switch, and I can either do all or erase. All will clear all the config, almost all of it. Erase will definitely configure it, overwrite everything. Let's do an erase. Oh, once more. What else do you want? All switch configuration. Anything else? That's it. Operation may take up to 60 minutes. Do not disconnect the power. Overwrite all. No, I don't want to do that. Overwrite all saved data and render the switch's functions limited and erroneous, it says. Honest to God. I don't want it limited and erroneous. Okay, so maybe erase doesn't do what I remember it doing. So I'm just going to do unconfigure switch all. Restore all factory defaults and reboot? Yes. Okay, so if I was going to e-waste the switch, then I would probably do an erase, because that would sounds like it leaves it brain dead, and you have to put a bunch of other stuff back in. So yeah, that's all I want, is for it to be back to factory defaults. I don't need every single function of the switch wiped out and recreated, because these are basically Linux boxes, and they boot up in Linux and load a bunch of software modules and magically become a switch. So here it goes. Let's zeroed out the private key. It's done doing that, so it should reboot here in a minute. Here goes the reboot. It is rebooting. Next time we'll try the boot ROM way. I will do one more switch after this, and we'll try the boot ROM method and see if it's the way I remember it. I haven't done any research before doing this, so I'm not trying to impress you guys or make it sound like I know it all. I don't. But that's why, once you get into these switches in the command line interface, question mark is your friend. Keep in that question mark and read into the things that it says. When it says you want to render the switch's functions limited and erroneous, no, no, I do not want that. Thank you very much. Okay, we're back to pending AAA login, and it says it is now available for login. So now it would be the default username and password, and then it would take me through the initial setup. Well, let's just do that. So log in, the default admin username and password. And then it starts basically this first time startup wizard, so that lets you know that it's ready to go. And I'm just going to go through and take the defaults on all of these. And there we go. I've got a blank slate here ready to do what I want with it. So now let's try the other way. I'm going to move the power cord over to the other switch. Maybe. Right. Before I do that, I have to plug this guy in. Make sure he is ready. Oh, let's grab the power cord. Do it on this power supply this time, because it's easier to get to. This time I have to be ready to press the space bar or whatever it is. Okay, boot ROM. What can I do from the boot ROM? Let's see. Clear command line, config, download help, mtest ping, reboot. Can boot the primary or the secondary OS image from here. Config says. Config what? What's config do? All the extreme guys out there screaming at me. You know what it does? It says it's not using any config. Well, let's boot it, see what happens. I told it boot. It's going to boot using the primary OS image. Let's see what happens. I have a feeling it's just going to bring it up in a default mode, but my config files are probably still there. So I don't know if I want to keep those around. All right, I'm going to click pause until it's done booting up. Well, it's almost done. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it didn't get rid of everything because it's still got my login banner right here. So again, let me do pause and I'll come back for you when it's done. All right, it's done logging in, and I'm lower because I'm sitting on my doctor's stool here. Stole from one of the exam rooms. Don't tell anybody. So yeah, that on the old C-series switches, that was the way that you cleared the configuration out of a switch. These, not so much. I haven't tried, this is the first time I've tried to use the boot ROM method. at least in a while. So yeah, with Exhaust, you just go in there and unconfigure switch all, like this here. Unconfigure switch. Whoops, spell it right. Switch tab all. Yes. So that's going to go through and do the same thing the last thing did. It's going to clear the config on the switch. Switch is going to reboot, and then I have to do it 2 more times. So yeah, that's all I got this week. As always, like I said, if you liked what you saw, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell if so desired. Keep those great comments coming. Keep the lousy comments to yourself. And as always, have a blessed week, guys. God bless.